Good evening. Okay, we do have a quorum present. If we can get once you have a copy of the agenda, we can get approval of that, we can move right along.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're here this evening for an interview with candidate number 2, Dr. McInnis.
You got it.
I'm kind of tired. We're so happy that you're here and that obviously you're here to interview with us for the position of superintendent. And so are you good? Or do you need anything?
Perfectly comfortable. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to start the interview process, and now ask the first question.
All right.
If you would tell us about your personal background, first professional experience, and your belief in public education, and the interest in being our superintendent.
Okay. First of all, if I may, Mr. President, I would like to thank each board member personally for the hospitality that y'all have shown me today. Also, the school administrators that at the time, I know they're very, very busy. They took the time to give me a school tour. And they were very, very proud of their schools with good reason. And another thing I noticed too, and I mentioned to several of the principals, when I walk into a building, one of the first things I notice is the floors and cleanliness. And I'm telling you, every school I went into, that just resonated the pride. You know, the cleanliness and things like that. But I just had to make mention of that. Thank y'all for taking time out of y'all's busy day to spend time with me. Enjoy the breakfast, the lunch, different things like that. But personal background, I'm married to Stacy, my wife. I would like to recognize her. Stacy, you stand up. She is literally my backbone and my strength. We're married. I've got a 25-year-old daughter that teaches first grade. She's 2.5 years into her career, and she already knows everything there is to know about public education. So when we get together on weekends and things like that, she says, "Daddy," and she lays all these things on me, and I've been doing this for 29 years, and she thinks she knows more than I do. But anyway, so very, very proud of her. She's doing a great job teaching first grade in Mississippi. My son is 24. He's an electrician. I've got a 14-year-old stepdaughter that's 9th grade, doing very, very well. And then we had a little surprise 4 years ago. I've got a 4-year-old. And everyone told me, says, "It's going to keep you young, it's going to keep you energetic." They lied. No, we love her to death, and I think it has helped. Not sure about the energy level, but that's a little bit about my personal background. Professional experience, I have a lot of experience in special education. At the beginning of my career, I taught special ed for 4 years, ranging from, at that time it was called severe profound, we now call it SED. I also taught 2 years of GED prep courses and things like that to students with specific learning disabilities. Went on from there as they got into administration. I was the SPED director for 5 years. Ventured into the community college as a dean for 2 years. Missed the K through 12 experience, so I got back into that. I served as superintendent for 6 years for a 2A school district, Union City, which is in kind of mid-Mississippi. It's close to Philadelphia, Meridian, if you know that area and everything. I was there for 6 years. My 5th year there, this one was level 1 through 5. We since transformed to A through L. My 5th year there, we missed being an A school district by 36 thousandths of a point. And I think there's a question a little bit later on, I'll hold up on the details. My last year there, I was waiting for my son to graduate. We hit the A. So I was very, very proud of that. The current school district I'm working at is Water Valley. This is my 4th year being superintendent. When I came to Water Valley, it was a D as in dog school district. After 1 year there, we moved from a D to a C. The elementary school was 3 points from being an F, and we took that from 3 points to being an F to a mid-C. So very, very proud of my administrative team, my teachers, community parents, and also my school board. Very, very supportive. Beliefs in public education. All of my children have gone through public education. Of course, being a school superintendent, as you can imagine, I'm a very strong advocate of public education. Is there room for improvement? Always. And I think in every field that you go into, there's room for improvement. One of the challenges we face in Mississippi is funding. It is based on a formula, MAAP. And it has yet, I forgot when it went to inception, but when it did come into inception, it's only been fully funded twice. So it's kind of a challenge to school districts, to school superintendents, particularly in small school districts, to find the money to do what we need to do. But yeah, think outside the box, and we just make it happen.
All right. And just if you expound on your interest in being our superintendent.
This is my 29th year in education, and when I say that, it's hard to believe. It's like I just started 2 weeks ago, but I've been in public education for 29 years. Of that 29 years, 10 has been as a school superintendent. In Mississippi, 28 is the magic number for retirement. And my wife and I talked, so we started talking about looking at out-of-state jobs, and then we saw this Eufaula opening, and we researched it, and we saw, number one, we looked at the city. It's known as the bass fishing capital of the world? And then I had shared with the board members, or some of y'all, I was talking to my school board president of Water Valley. His daughters participate in fast pitch softball, and he has been here before with different games and stuff like that. He says, you're not going to believe how beautiful the city is. And he said, especially the fishing and things like that. So y'all have a very good reputation. Okay. And that even comes from my school board, So beautiful area. And as I have been here today and have had a chance to interact with the board members, the administration, the teachers, I know at 2 schools I had students showing me around, which I really thought was impressive, and they did an excellent job. So I know my wife was toured around by a couple of people. She was very impressed with the hospitality, and I send my thanks to those as well. But I know that little brief break that we had, she was very, very excited about what she saw. And I will be honest with you, the whole time I was looking at the schools, I was thinking about my 14-year-old and my 4-year-old, and I was thinking, is this what I feel comfortable with my kids coming here? And I can tell you, with their resonating, yes, it would be a perfect fit. They would love it.
Thank you.
What is your philosophy about discipline in today's schools, and how has your discipline philosophy changed as a result of safety concerns in this time?
I tell you, I graduated high school in 1984, and it's changed. It has changed. Kids have changed. Culture has changed. But I tell you what we did. Actually, when I was at Grenada, we started looking at data, our discipline data. And one of the first things that we noticed was there was and the Office of Civil Rights, as y'all know, take a real keen interest in disciplinary actions and things of that nature. And they really focus on the disparity between African American males and white, looking at out-of-school suspensions and things of that nature. They've moved this year into looking at in-school suspension. And then they also look at comparison of regular ed students being placed in out-of-school suspension versus regular ed versus students with IEPs. So looking at the data, had a school psychologist and my team of administrators, we developed a code of conduct. And we had what we called an alternative school. And that's where we sent And the connotation was alternative school is where the bad kids go. And my philosophy is there are no bad kids. There are kids that need interventions, that need help. And so what I did when I got to Water Valley, they had an alternative school. And one of the first things we did is we changed the name from alternative school to the Educational Learning Center, with the philosophy that when these students come, we need to teach them the appropriate behavior. And it amazes me, students come in and they don't know. In a lot of cases, they don't know the appropriate behavior because lack of role models, or y'all know as well as I do some of the music that's out there, the TV shows and things like that, So what we do, if a student is sent to the Educational Learning Center, the first thing we do is what's called a functional behavioral assessment. We go in, it's an instrument that we usually have a counselor do, that goes through and finds out what is causing this particular behavior, whether it's talking in class, different things like that. And then from that, we develop what's called a behavior improvement plan. And then each day at the Educational Learning Center, the students work on what we call a behavior packet, and they have behavior goals that are set, and they're checked off. They are still exposed to the regular ed curriculum because we have cameras in our classrooms that has a direct feed to the Educational Learning Center. So we have headphones where the students are still engaged in their classes. But again, when the students are sent to the Educational Learning Center, it's not a punishment. It's a learning opportunity for them to learn appropriate ways to deal with behavior. If it's anger issues, we have behavior packets, behavior interventions that we use to help them learn how to deal with those type of situations. And we've got built in 3 ways that we can do an early release if they meet a certain criteria. So, for instance, if the student is sent to the Educational Learning Center for 45 days, if they meet 3 criteria, they can get we call early release back to their home school. But regarding safety, we implemented what's called a code of conduct. I understand y'all have a code of conduct, but we have 5 levels. Level 1 is those behaviors are dealt with in the classroom by the teacher. That's just very minor infractions. And then it escalates to level 5, which would be possession of a weapon, drug use, the serious infractions that involve law enforcement, things of that nature. Those are dealt with extremely seriously. That could lead to expulsion. My number 1 goal, of course, I want a school district. I want to be the number 1 school district in the state, but well above and beyond that, I want to be the safest school in the nation. So we put a lot of emphasis on school safety, as y'all have. I know some of the safety things that y'all have implemented, some of the same things that we're doing too.
Well, I'm glad you made it through the rain. Describe to us your philosophy about the role of arts in the school.
Critical. They are absolutely critical. And I was sharing with one of the principals. It's so easy when, like I said, I've been a superintendent for 10 years, and we've been through budget cuts, not getting full funding with MAEP, different things like that. And it is such a temptation when you're looking at different programs and things like that, is to do away with the arts. But during my 10 years, that has never been anything that we put on the table, because it is so critical to educate the whole child. And if you remove that component, research shows that the importance of the fine arts in schools, everything. And I was very pleasant, not surprised, but was very, very happy to see that it's a very important part of your school district. I went through several art classes, looked at it. The fine arts in my school district are very, very important. And I always kind of get tickled. Some of the kids do not want to go into art, but you go in the second week, they're thrilled. They're displaying their work, outside the board. And we're also blessed that the art teacher has the endorsement that if they go through and they take this class, it's a dual enrollment. So they get 3 hours of college credit for taking this class, which is a bonus and everything. So very, very proud of our program, very impressed with y'all's program and commitment to the arts.
Thank you.
How have you been involved in ongoing physical management, and what are your strengths and weaknesses regarding physical management?
Okay. My business manager and I are very, very close. We have two school board meetings a month, and I think we talked about this earlier, but the first one is kind of my meeting. The second one is when we have the business report. And the business manager and I meet weekly to look at the budget. And then when he goes before the school board to talk about expenses, the financial report and things like that, he's already prepped me for it. I don't present that to the board because that is his expertise. He's a CPA, as we talked about. He understands the budget. I didn't major that in college. I took education courses. He took courses like what you took and everything. So I let him do the presentation to the board. And our board is very, very savvy looking at the budget. They know, especially the expenditure. But what our business manager has learned is anything that he anticipates that the board may have questions on, expenses, he highlights. And as he's doing his presentation, he hits those up front. And so the school board, they kind of preempts or, answers the questions ahead of time. But have a very good relationship with the the business manager, and also my federal programs director, and also my special ed director, because she's got the IDEA budget and the preschool budget. So they keep me abreast of what's going on, and like I said, we have a warm relationship. One of the first things I told my business manager when I assumed the superintendency at Water Valley, I closed the door and I told him, I said, your job is to keep me out of jail. And we meet behind doors and we talk about the budget and different things, and I listen to him. I mean, that's what he's paid to do, is oversee the budget. And if he tells me the money's not in the budget for it, we don't do it. I rely heavily on his advice.
Right. What would be your plan to recruit, train, mentor, and evaluate teachers and administrators in our school system?
Okay. Let me just start with our principals. I'll require our principals to be in the classrooms daily. They go through either 2-minute observations, or we're at the point now where they have determined what teachers need extended help. So they may have to go in for 20 minutes of different things. And we have a program called ELS, where on their iPad they send instant message to the teacher letting them know how the observation went. And then there's also an opportunity for the teacher to respond back to the administrator regarding any kind of remarks that are made by the administrator. Also, we have a Monday morning staff meeting with my administrators every Monday, and each principal goes to my secretary and puts on my calendar a specific time for me to be with them to go into classrooms. So I actually have an opportunity every day to visit classrooms with my principals. And that gives me a chance not only to look at the teachers, but also to evaluate my principals as well. Because I read the remarks that they're sending. If we notice that a teacher is struggling, I always question them, what are you doing? If they're on a teacher improvement plan, what are you doing? A teacher improvement plan is not a mechanism to, quote, get rid of the teacher. It's to help them improve. That's not our goal, is to get someone fired. It's actually to help them. But if the teacher does not meet those goals on the teacher improvement plan, and we've done everything we know to help them get to that level, of course you have to do what you have to do on that. My quote, evaluation of the principals is ongoing. Every Monday morning, the principals bring in their previous week's ADA. They bring in the previous week's teacher attendance. We look at discipline referrals. How many, do we have any out-of-school suspensions? Could we really keep up with that and everything? And then they report how many observations they made the previous week to classrooms. So that's my way of kind of checking up and, make sure they're doing what they're doing. And they do a great job with it. I noticed something coming here too. At Water Valley, where I'm at, teachers are so accustomed to us coming to the classroom as the students are, they never skip a beat. I mean, they don't even see us coming in. If they notice us coming in, we need to stay for a little while. But I noticed, I'm not sure how many classrooms I went in today, teachers ignored us. I mean, they kept right on teaching. They wasn't startled, they just kept doing it. So that tells me, hey, they're used for administration coming in, which is a good thing. So.
Okay. If you would share with us what you consider to be the most important duties of a superintendent, and how do you see the role of a superintendent as it relates to the school board, employees, and as well as the student and community?
The superintendent, in my mind, is the face of the school district. When you're out there in the public, it's almost kind of like being the preacher. It's kind of what I tell my wife, A lot of times the pastor is the face of the church. When I'm out in the community or other areas, people see me and they automatically associate me with, hey, that's the CEO of the school. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's not a good thing. You got to behave yourself. And you got to make sure your wife's behaving herself. That's a joke. But no, it's the face of the community. I think the effective superintendent has to be approachable. I think people need to feel comfortable to come talk to the superintendent about things that are on their mind. As far as relating to the board, it is critical for the superintendent to have a very good working relationship with the school board. My job is to keep my school board informed on any kind of things that are going on with, in my state, the Mississippi Department of Education. And Lord knows MDE changes every 2 weeks. You have to have a scorecard to keep up with things that are going on. But that's okay. But I keep the school board informed of, hey, these are the changes that are going on. I also keep the school board informed on things that are going on within the school district, any type of problems that we're encountering and things like that. And another thing that we've done, I did it my 6 years at Union, and I've done it my 4 years at Water Valley, is we do student recognitions and we do teacher/staff recognitions at the first board meeting of the month. And they love it. From the students to the staff. They're not just getting recognized by the principal or superintendent, they're getting recognition from the school board, the media, the newspaper guys there. And we've had, I know, 5 or 6 meetings or recognition things that we had so many, we had to move from the school board to the high school cafeteria with recognitions. And that's a good thing, because I think oftentimes that I'm sitting there in a packed cafeteria, I think to myself, thank the good Lord they're not here complaining. That they're here on a positive thing. And that gets the community involved, that gets the parents involved, and it's a celebration. It's a good PR thing for the district, and it gets the good news of the things that we have going on out into the community. Because we have a lot of good things going on, as y'all do. It's a PR thing and also a recognition.
Okay.
How would you view the superintendent's role and the school board's role in formulating educational programs?
Okay. I know the school board sets policy. and it's the superintendent's job to implement and oversee those policies. But the school board needs, what I alluded to earlier, they need the facts from the Office of Education, new mandates, new requirements, new policies to make decisions. Also under the school board's, I know what we do is any kind of employment type issues, hiring and things like that is for school board approval. We always bring the whatever the case may be, the teacher or something like that before the school board, let them meet them, put a name with the face and everything. Just again to keep the school board informed. Did I answer your question? I was trying to follow along with my list. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, high performance by the student accountability are priority for us. How would you assess the current student performance level in our system, and how would you assess the effectiveness of our teachers and program? You kind of allude to that a little bit, but I just wanted you to expand a little more on that.
Sure. The only resource I had to go by was the internet. So the data that I have is based on the 16-17 school year, and I'm not sure if the 17-18 school year data has been released yet. So in answering your question, I'm going to refer to the 16-17 data. And I had noticed that the district is a C, and you missed a B by 9 points. That 9 points, in my mind, because I was note taking all day, can be very easily achieved by coming in, implementing interventions and different things like that. So overall, the district, a C, you 9 points for a B. And again, I'm not sure what this year's are. They were not accessible on the internet. The elementary school came back as a D. That's okay. They only missed a C by 8 points. You're 8 points away from being a C, and that is certainly achievable. The middle school came back a D, but they only missed a C by 4 points. 4 percentage points away from being a C. And the high school came back a C, and they missed being a B by 8 points. And again, I noticed that the Alabama accountability model is very similar to the Mississippi accountability model, with all the things that I saw that are going on at the high school, particularly with the acceleration component, meaning your dual enrollment, your AP courses, things of that nature. Very impressive. I know you get points for that. We do in Mississippi anyway. We get extra points for number of students that are enrolled in dual enrollment courses, and particularly those who are in the AP. We get what's called a participation grade, and then those who go on to take the test and score 3 or above on the AP, we get additional points for that. So that 8 points could be very easily made up. To summarize, from what I saw today, there is no reason Eufaula cannot be an A school district. You've got everything in place to be an A school district. I mean, y'all were even teaching the second graders how to swim. Yeah. I mean, that's how serious y'all take what y'all are doing, you know. And y'all definitely have the resources to make it happen as well. This is a wonderful school district. And again, my goal, I'm sure as your goal, the administrators' goal, the community goal is for this to be an A school district, the shining school district for Alabama. And I'm telling you, we can get there. You've got what it takes to get there.
What is your experience with facility management and construction?
Okay. Our buildings, kind of similar to what we've seen here and everything in a respect. Our buildings are like 1950s. And I know we talked earlier. I know the school board and I have had conversations. Gosh, it just may be cheaper just get a bulldozer, push them down and just start from scratch, you know. But we're very, very fortunate. We had just paid off a 3-mil note last year, so we've got a new 3-mil note that we've gone into for $1 million. And then we have just recently had a bond issue, GL bond, for $6 million. So we've had community meetings where the community came in, told us what they would like to see, improvements at our school. Of course, the administrators, teachers, all had a voice in that. In fact, the school board president conducted that meeting and everything. He had a flip chart. I think we ended up, by the end of the meeting, we had 5 pages of ideas. And I was sharing earlier with Mr. Wingate, it amazed me when I heard $7 million. I was thinking all the things we was getting ready to do. But it amazes me how quickly that money goes. By the time you put a roof on the elementary school, a roof on the high school gym, then we're planning on heating and air conditioning the elementary and the high school gym, then a few other just, bathroom improvements, stuff like that. That money's gone. But we do have a director of maintenance. We've created a work desk where if teachers have things they need done at their school, principals need things done at their school, instead of just trying to catch them or call them or send an email, we created a work desk, just like we deal with technology. Teachers or whoever enter a work order into this system, and that gives me an opportunity, and the board has got a keen interest as well. We can look at work orders that have been put into the system, and we look to make sure nothing is 30 days past due or anything like that. So, and I do report that to the school board once a month. But that gives me a way to get in and check too, just to make sure that the things that are broken or need fixing are being done, and also in a timely manner. And then I'll say one more thing. When I was superintendent at Union, our band, I was there for 6 years. For 5 of the 6 years, this is a 2A school, our band won overall championship, for the state in 2A. So our band literally exploded. And the band hall, I think we had this for a 2A school, we had like 125 kids involved in band, which is phenomenal. So we had to build a band hall. So first thing we had to do was find the money to do so. But we did construct a band hall, and we did a number of renovations, particularly at the high school. We dropped the ceilings, put in new lighting, LED lighting, and things like that. So pretty good experience.
What is your philosophy and experience in alternative education programs, such as alternative school, homebound, social emotional learning programs, twilight school, virtual school?
Okay. I think I kind of alluded to that earlier about the, I've just noticed when people talk to me, alternative school is almost profanity. Because we do, I'm that serious about it. It's the educational learning center. Because when you say alternative school, you get that negative connotation. And it's not bad kids that we send there. It's kids that are there that are in need of interventions, to be taught the correct behavior, because they're not getting it somewhere. But so I've kind of already alluded to that. And I'm sorry, what were the other two that you asked?
Virtual schools. Do you have any?
Virtual school. Well, let me go back. I think one of the things was homebound.
Homebound. Yeah.
Okay, homebound we use. This is primarily for either students that have some kind of serious injury, that have a 504 plan that they can't come to school. Of course, we send a teacher to the house, to provide those educational services. We also provide homebound for those students that have very, very serious behavior problems, behavior issues. We don't send them to the house. We usually meet at the library, some kind of public, facility and everything, to provide that instruction to them for homebound. Social, emotional learning programs I alluded to earlier. We do the functional behavioral assessments to see what the undermining or underlying factor is to cause that behavior. And then we come up with the plan of what we need to do to help that student overcome those challenges. And then also it's a tool for the teachers to go by that if Johnny exhibits these behaviors, this is what the teacher needs to do. This is kind of the blueprint for that. Virtual schools, Mississippi does have a Mississippi virtual program where it really benefits your smaller school districts that may not be able to offer some of the advanced courses, and we're taking advantage of that in a couple of areas. And our big thing, it's not on the list, but it's that dual enrollment. We have Mississippi just passed our MDE work with not just the community colleges, but also the Institute of Higher Learning, our senior colleges, that if you take different courses, you not only get community college hours for, you also get senior college hours. So we can have kids that are literally graduating from high school with 21 hours of college credit. So that's something that we're very, very proud of. It puts them a step ahead of the game and things of that nature.
Do you also have gifted programs in your?
We do. We're very, very proud of it. We go through the 6th grade now. It's been one of my challenges, one of my focuses to expand that, but we're still working towards that with funding.
Okay.
If you would share with us what has been the biggest problem in community school relations in your career, and what have you done about it, as well as just describe some strategies that you use to promote parent and public support for the school system.
With the community, it's always such a struggle when I have to make one of those difficult decisions. Let's say it's a personnel issue or something like that. The school board, of course, knows in executive session what's going on. It makes perfect sense that while we did what we did, but I can't communicate that. And that's one of the challenges that we face, because, the community, they hear one side of the story, but we're not at liberty, y'all are not at liberty to discuss it. It's a personnel issue. And it's the same thing with students. A parent may come in and the community may hear about a particular problem, why there's an expulsion or why they've been to the Educational Learning Center. We can't discuss that. And I can't tell you how many times the parent comes in that we have sent their child to the Educational Learning Center, in school suspension, something like that, and we can explain why their child has been sent, but they say, well, Johnny did the same thing. What'd you do with him? It's a privacy issue. That's just the ongoing challenge I've always had, because I'm not going to break the confidentiality. I know school board members are not going to break that confidentiality. So it's a fine line you have to walk with the community, Explain, and usually when you sit down and you explain that to them, I always ask them the question, what if it was your child? Would you want me to be discussing this with the community? Oh, no, you better not be doing that. So when you kind of relate it to a personal level, they understand.
Is it me? Okay.
Give me your opinion about the relationship of academics versus sports and other extracurricular activities, and also your philosophy about the difference between middle and high school sports.
I think they go hand in hand. With your extracurricular, research shows, common sense will tell you, if you get the kids involved in extracurricular, whether it be band, athletics, anything like that, they're less prone to drop out of school. That's a big factor there. The second factor is, I'm going to use football, for example. This is football season. The football, of course, they have to keep a certain GPA to participate in sports. But if they're acting out in class or their grades start dropping, they don't need the principal, they don't need the teacher. That football coach is there talking to them. And it never ceases to amaze me. They're more apt to listen to that football coach sometimes than the principal or the teacher, because they don't want to run those extra laps or do the extra push-ups and things of that nature. So, again, I think it goes hand in hand. The middle school, in my mind, is a feeder program to the high school. I think that the middle school athletes should have the same strategies and game plan that the high school does. And again, it just builds in, and it's just overlap of preparing them for senior sports.
Okay. Explain your view on the best way to integrate technology into the instructional process in order to raise students' achievement.
Okay. Whether we like it or don't like it, technology's here. And 2 years ago, the school board, based on my high school principal's recommendation and then my recommendation, allowed students to bring their cell phones to school. And that was such a twist for me, because all my years it was, hey, if you bring your cell phone, we're going to confiscate it and you're going to get fined, and we're going to hold it for the end of the year. So we do have rules for cell phone usage and stuff like that, but students are allowed to bring their cell phones to school. But what we have is, if you walk past the teacher's room and you see the students on the cell phone, the teachers have a sign they put up, technology in use. So, I mean, if you walk in with somebody's slipped out their cell phone, or if they're using it for instructional use. We've purchased 120 Chromebooks for our elementary school. We added an extra computer lab at the elementary school. I think we did 110 Chromebooks at the high school for testing, and created an extra computer lab there. We had in the budget where we was going to start implementing the Promethean boards, which I noticed that y'all have everything. So we're taking it slow. We're going to do 5 a year to try to get where every classroom has either a smart board or a Promethean board. But as you know, I mean, technology is critical now in education.
Slow rider. Give me just a minute. Describe your leadership management style and what methods you have found to be most effective in supervision and building rapport with the administrators and employees.
The way not to describe my leadership style would be micromanagement. I am not a micromanager. What we do is I meet with the school board, and we sit down collectively and establish goals for the district. For example, one goal is 96.5% ADA. That's one of our goals. Another goal is, of course, we're going to get to an A school district. But then we take other goals that I've established with the school board. I bring to the administrators, and I say, this is the goals that we have set for this year. And then I simply inspect what I expect. And I alluded to it earlier, we meet weekly to go over the goals, how things are going. And it's worked out well. Mine is, I'm there for support. I'm there to, again, inspect what I expect. If there's a problem, then it's there for me to address. And I have no problem doing that, But I'm certainly very visible in the schools. I'm there literally on a daily basis to interact with the principals, the assistant principals, and the teachers. So I'm certainly make myself available for any type of problems that we need to discuss and everything. But our principals do an excellent job, and they know what they're doing. They also know, hey, if this situation is getting out of hand, need some advice. they know they can come with me, come to me, and we can sit down, we can talk through the whatever the scenario is.
Before Ms. Richardson closes out, do any board member have any more questions?
I was going to ask him his view on curriculum and instructional.
Yeah.
Number 11.
Number 11,
Go ahead.
I wasn't going to do the whole question, number 11, but I wanted to know what do you think that should be the superintendent role in curriculum and instruction and in the evaluation of results of the instructional program?
Okay, all right. Just as at the school level, the principal is the educational leader. For the district, the superintendent is the educational leader. And the decisions that we make regarding curriculum, any type of changes, any type of tweaks that we need to make is based on data. We have data-driven decisions. And I'm particularly proud of the program that we implemented this year. It's called Case 21. And in a nutshell, the way Case 21 works is we go by standards. And then under each standard, we have the subset of skills that lead to that and everything. So the teachers know what the standard is. They know the skills that they have taught. Case 21 comes in and builds the test. The teacher doesn't build the test. The principal doesn't build the test. The teacher hadn't even seen the test. It's a computerized test is generated by Case 21 by that particular standard. So, in a sense, it's evaluating the student's performance and understanding of that standard, but it's also, in a way, a tool, an instrument, how well has the teacher done in that particular standard. And that generates conversation between the teacher and that principal on, okay, how well did they perform on that Case 21 assessment. Another thing we started this year is every 2 weeks, each teacher is required to not print out a report, but to give a written report of the number of students that are failing their course. And that, again, they meet with the principal, and that creates a conversation of, okay, I've got 10 students that are failing, and the principal response is, what are you doing to fix it? What kind of remediation are you doing? Because you can't go to Standard B if you had Standard A. So that's 2 things we've done. One more program I'll make quick mention of. We've implemented a program when I first went to Water Valley, but I had used in a previous school district. It's called iReady. And iReady, you start off with an initial diagnostic at the beginning of school, and then you do a mid-year in December diagnostic to see how much growth that these students have achieved during that time period. But what iReady does is you get the initial diagnostic, and then it prescribes a specific program that you go through with different. At the elementary, it's got more like games and instructional lessons and things of that nature. But it has been very, very effective and provides data to us how our students perform and based on their deficits.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to close out with, could you give us your best 3-minute speech that would entice any community member to enroll their children in Eufaula City Schools?
And if you don't mind, I wrote this late. I don't have it memorized, so I'm going to read it, if that's okay, because my mind is it's trying to get everything down that I saw today. So if you allow me, I will read it from my observations today. Eufaula City Schools are the gateway to a great education for the children of our community. Our vision is to create motivated, responsible learners capable of reaching their dreams. In order to reach this vision for our students, we as adults must implement the mission of providing an innovative, collaborative environment that promotes focus, creativity, and confidence. With 4 school levels, an early learning collaborative, and a virtual academy, the needs of all of our children are being met. We strive to connect with each child on his or her level and offer opportunities outside the general content of the classroom. Our virtual school, the gardening beds that I saw today, and outside classroom allow our students to have hands-on experience with the textbook theories while they learn within the classroom. To increase critical thinking skills for all of our children, we offer Alabama chess, robotics, and STEM labs. The STEM classes and robotics also guide our students into the age of increased technical knowledge. With varying types of equipment and software, the district implements technology at every grade level from kindergarten through 12th grade. Eufaula City Schools supports vocational education to augment student career readiness. Academics include agriculture education, fine arts, communication and media arts, engineering and computer science, government and public safety, biomedical and health sciences, business and leadership, and sports, fitness, and recreation. These academies allow our secondary students to participate in internships and to earn certified credentials to reinforce career decisions. Eufaula City Schools has been bestowed honors in several areas. Eufaula Primary School shines as a school of distinction. It provides an excellent environment to begin our children's educational careers by providing daily enrichment and interventions. These programs aid our teachers in closing any achievement gaps and in giving challenging content to all learners. As K through 2 serves as the literacy foundation for all learners, Eufaula Primary School has shown a significant increase of, and this is a big selling point to me, 79% on the developmental reading assessment. In addition, Eufaula Primary School, Eufaula Elementary School, and Eufaula High School have received the distinction of being Alabama Bicentennial Schools because of their commitment to the community. With 61% of our teachers holding advanced degrees, our instructional staff is well qualified to meet the needs of our students. The dedication of our teachers is supported by the increase in assessment scores and and this is very, very impressive, the $6.1 million in college scholarships earned by our students. The Eufaula City Schools, which is the oldest city school in Alabama, continues to equip the students of our community with the skills to reach any aspirations of their future. We encourage parental and community involvement to help us foster a hope and future for our children.
Thank you.
Okay,
Was that close to 3 minutes?
I didn't. Good job.
Usually I get long-winded. I didn't time it as I wrote it.
Okay. This, Dr. McInnis, we certainly appreciate, first of all, your commitment to education, and secondly, for your total interest in being a part of our school system here in Eufaula. This does conclude the interview process, and at this time we're going to offer you the opportunity to meet with and greet with the public out here this
Fantastic.
evening, and we'll go from there.
Great.
If I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
All right. Thank you again for the hospitality
Thank you
today.
for
We
coming.
really appreciate it. And the accommodations at Lake Point.
Lake Point.
Very, very nice. Very kind of y'all to do so.
Right.
Especially that 7-hour drive.